Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's lager series, we explore the lesser-known German style known as Dortmunder. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us. I don't think I've drunk a lot of Dortmunder.
I definitely have had it before, but I wouldn't be like, I had it a lot. Yeah. Can I just say,
let me look at my spreadsheet.
Oh, my spreadsheet. Speaking of glasses, I know this is a tangent, but I got new sunglasses today. And normally I only wear brewery sunglasses, but I needed to get free shipping on something that I was ordering. So in order to get the free shipping, I had to spend 20 more quid. So I was like, I'll get sunglasses. It's got nano chains on it. They're from Disturbia. Do you like them? If you're watching the video, this is very visual. You have to watch the video. But look, they've got like little daggers on them, and it's got like a nano chain thing. And I got a dress from them, and it has pockets. And I was like, well, I really like
pockets.
It has pockets. I literally went downstairs and I was like twirling, and Rick's like, oh, that looks really nice. And I was like, but wait. And he's like, is there pockets? And I was like, there's pockets!
It's got pockets.
And so I twirled with my hands in my pockets. I didn't tie my sunglasses, so he didn't know if he
like the size of them. Like,
yeah, I mean
they're proper like
a little face, but I like it because it's giving me like witchy.
Proper glamour witch vibes.
Leave me alone, don't talk to me, I'm very important vibes, right?
Are you going to pair it with a big hat?
I do have a big hat.
Yes.
Yeah, I do have a big hat, but I probably won't pair it with that because it will be hot. I won't be wearing a hat.
You need to pair it with a big hat.
Maybe like a big purse as well. I'll be like, don't.
Yes.
But I do like, so normally I've got double barrel sunglasses, which I just found the other day. I thought I lost them, didn't lose them. They were just tucked at the back of where the keys were. I've got Siren sunglasses and I've got Vault City sunglasses. So it's like, I'm kind of good. I used to have loads and loads of Iron Fist ones, and they all started breaking, and it was a plav. So I still have lots of sunnies, but I needed like a pair that I could take on holiday, and I was like, I want to feel luxurious. And also, really, what happened was I was like, I need that free shipping though, and this is the thing that I could get that free shipping. So yeah, do we like them? We in.
We do. We enjoy them a lot.
Watch the video. Go watch the video if you want to weigh in, or just look at my stories because it's on it. By the time this comes out, it won't be on my stories anymore. But you will see them. Like if I do this as well, like, ooh.
Yes.
Ooh.
I'm slightly jealous. I feel like I want to order some.
They're awesome, aren't they?
Sunglasses. They're great.
And I can't possibly lose them because they are stuck around my neck.
And if they're around your neck, you're not going to sit on them, which is sometimes a problem. Like if you put them in your pocket.
I love it. So this is when I'm chilling by the pool or the beach. Nice. I can just take them off and be like, no, they're not going to go anywhere. They're around my neck. And it's quite a good chain as well. So yeah, so that was, sorry, when you were doing let me get my spreadsheet. That's why I was like, I have to show you my sunnies because these are great.
Right, so according to my spreadsheet, I've only ever had 4 Dortmunders.
I was going to pull my spreadsheet up, but now I can't be fucked. I'm done. I should have pulled it up a minute ago, but I was too jazzed about my sunglasses. I will say when I was writing the intro, I was really struggling with my brain is fried this week. It was one of those weeks where you hit Monday and you go, oh, what a week, am I right, guys? And everyone else is like, it's Monday. But everyone else equally was in the same boat as me, so everyone else was like, yeah, it's been a week. So all of us were like, oh, no, it's not Friday yet. No.
Are we on the struggle bus?
We are. I think all of us are on the struggle bus. Somebody I work with, he made me die laughing because he was like, I got a shit night's sleep. And I was saying, oh, yeah, Rick basically got woken up by the dog howling. He's like, my cat's woke me up. And he said, everyone I spoke to has had a really bad night's sleep. And he goes, I think they must have activated our 5G chips or something because all of us had a really bad sleep. And I just started dying laughing. I went, they might have activated all of our 5G chips. It might be it. This might be it.
I slept all right last night, so they haven't activated.
No, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday night. Did you sleep okay Tuesday night?
No, I think I had difficulty getting to sleep.
There we go. It's the 5G chips.
Yeah, they started off 5G chips.
They did. I'm sticking with that. I'm going with exactly what he said. He had me literally rolling laughing. But I was struggling with the creativity to write the intro. So that's why you got a slightly a boring one, because what I really wanted to write, but I was like, you're going to frown upon this. And this is one that I just cannot do. But I just kept laughing to myself all last night while I was trying to write it, which was Dortmunder. I hardly know her because I didn't.
No, that would have been good.
I typed it out and then I went, and the way I had to write it, I was like, I don't know if this will translate as funny as it's making me laugh. It made me laugh so much. Like, because I was going, not a lot of people know who Dortmunder is. So I was like, Dortmunder, hardly know her. And then I thought, there's no cohesive way to like, I was like, if you don't nail it on that delivery, like, it's not people are going to go, I don't know what you mean.
I appreciate that you saved me from that fate.
Because I was thinking of the last time when you were like, you pronounced it. You're like, do you get it? Do you get it? So yeah, brilliant. We're talking Dortmunder.
Lager. We're back to lager. Back to our lager series. We're looking at Dortmunder. This one's got some interesting bits. Maybe
I
not.
Literally know nothing about it. Like I know very little. When I say nothing, I know some. I know very little. One of the beers we're having tonight, I've had before.
Okay.
But I think, to be transparent, the beers are past BB, but not very, because we were meant to do this quite a long time ago, and it just never happened.
Sorry, guys. You know, we've been really bad about it.
We have been really bad.
We're going to do this, and then not doing it.
Yeah. Well, no, the problem is we plan.
Yeah.
The problem. So what I will say about us is it might come across to people like we do zero planning.
No,
now that's not true. We do a lot of planning. We don't do a lot of executing. Arguably, we plan so far in advance, and because we try to make the most of beer deliveries and everything we're doing. And when we're meeting up and not we're trying to be economical is what we're doing. Basically, we're saving so there's less shipments happening. We're using less carbon emissions. We are doing our bit for the environment. But what that means is we end up having like such a backlog of so many things. We'll have everything, and then by the time we actually get a chance to record them, it's too late, or new stuff has come out, or we've had to ditch quite a lot of episodes that we started doing. We've had to start rock bottom from the ground again because we planned too far in advance and it bit us.
Yeah.
So what do you think we don't plan? We do plan quite a lot, quite far in advance. But I would say
advance, arguably,
these ones, while they are past their best before date, so obviously we can only comment based on what we can't be too harsh on it based on style guidelines and stuff.
And generally, I don't think we are anyway.
I don't think we are anyways. But I will say they're not like massively far. They're not massively far outside best before. It's like a month, maybe. Like not even like, some of them aren't even a full calendar month. It's like just a little tiny switch past, and they're lagers.
It'll be fine. We've kept them in the cold.
But I do feel like I like being fully transparent with stuff like that. Yeah. So.
But we can still tell you about Dortmunder.
Yeah, and that's what these episodes are for. Yeah. Are for the educational pieces.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do it with my sunnies on, but I won't.
Right, shall we pour our first one?
Yeah, which one do you want to do first? I just put them in no particular order.
I mean, I don't think it matters what order we drink them in, but shall we start with one of our fave lager breweries, Lost and Grounded?
Yeah.
Their one? Okay, cool.
Let's do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. I was really sad, so I wanted to use my big Lost and Grounded mug.
Oh, yeah.
But I also was a little bit like, well, it's too big. I want something smaller and more tasting because it's a podcast episode. So I have the Sadler's Cattoberfest mug because it's just a tiny little baby version.
I've just got tasting glasses.
So for anyone that's watching, this is what the can.
Newstalgic 7. So that'll tell you how it is. It is a Dortmunder style lager. In celebration of our 7th birthday, we have brewed this delicious Dortmunder style lager. A grist of Pils malt with a hint of light caramel gives a smooth biscuity base, which is balanced by a mix of Magnum, Perle, and Hersbrucker Spat to give a clean bitterness and classic hop aroma. Let's enjoy with friends. Prost!
That's what we're doing. We're enjoying with friends.
Yeah.
Before we know it, it'll be their 8th birthday. It's fine. It's fine. We're doing our best. We're so thriving, guys. Give us a fucking break. Oh, it looks nice though. Look at that.
Oh, she's pretty.
It does look lovely.
Lovely.
Look at that lovely white head on it as well. Looks so good.
Oh, she smells nice.
She does.
She's got that really lovely, like, honey malt aroma.
Very like that sweetness to it. Smells like light, sweet, the graininess that I love in lagers.
A little bit of herbal hop in there.
It's very fragrant for how much head was on this. I still got like quite a good fragrance, because like sometimes when you have
about a finger of foamy white head.
Mine's a bit smaller now, but when I first poured it, it was like I could smell it quite good. Whereas like sometimes when I have quite a big thick band of head on it, you don't always get it quite as fragrant right away. And it was just really just lovely.
Oh. Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Prost.
I could drink a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if it's past its best before date. It still tastes good. Quite smooth.
Pretty cold, but it's still like malty.
There's a malty bready goodness, especially like more towards the aftertaste. There's like a very light bitterness where it's not... the bitterness, I think, is more... I perceive it more towards like the back end of the sip. The front end of the sip, it's got that little bit of sweetness. I would say it's not massively like carbonated or anything compared to other lager styles. But yeah, it's very moreish. I feel like this is a snacking beer.
I have something on that later.
See, look at me. I don't know.
Enjoy.
Yay. I love food. You know I love food.
Do you want the tasting notes first or the history first?
Let's go tasting notes first, because then we can spread the history out and I don't have to try to stop drinking this because it tastes nice.
So interestingly, I went looking for this in BJCP. Obs. Now, when I googled it, it came up as 1E Dortmunder Export. But when you go and look at the guidelines, it's actually 5C German Helles Export beer.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking about if I were to say this to Rick casually, like, can you believe when I go looking up, this is what I find. But actually, it says he would have been like, I don't know what you just said to me.
What are you talking about, right?
He would be like, oh yes, that is infuriating, or not. I don't know. You tell me.
So yeah,
I'm laughing at the hilarity of what that must sound like to someone that doesn't really know as much about the difference.
Well, in the 2021 style guidelines, it looks like it sits as 5C German Helles Export beer, which is under Section 5, Pale Bitter European Beer. And it says when you get in there, in the comments, also known as Dortmunder Export, Dortmunder Export, or simply Dort. So this is what we're looking at. But why it's called German Helles Export beer... and then also I found a separate page that was 1E Dortmunder Export, but that's not in the guidelines when you look for it. Very confusing. But I'm going to go by the Dortmunder Export guidelines that I found, because that's got the commercial examples that I expected. You can also find this in the Brewers Association guidelines. And that came up as, she says...
I'm still just chuckling about it. It's in the 5E regular... What a palaver.
Trying to be thorough.
I know, I'm picturing what it sounds like to someone that's not us. I'm picturing what it would sound like to Rick, and he'd be like, what a palaver. Egg on our face. I can't believe that.
Brewers Association. BJCP. Brewers Association.
How embarrassing.
So, Brewers Association, I've got it under Dortmunder / European style export.
Okay.
not
European style
exactly the
export
same.
sounds very vague. Like that sounds like that's got to cover a lot of things.
That sounds pretty. Their vital statistics are not the same. But let's just go with Dortmunder Export and we'll go from there. So, this is, by appearance, light gold to deep gold, clear with a persistent white head. On the aroma, we should get low to medium noble hop aroma, German or Czech hops. Moderate Pils malt aroma, can be grainy to somewhat sweet. May have an initial sulfury aroma.
I didn't get that.
I'll get into why that is later. And a low background note of DMS is acceptable. There should be no diacetyl. But the low note of DMS comes from the Pils malt.
Okay.
So, flavour. Neither Pils malt nor noble hops should be dominant, but both are in good balance with a touch of malty sweetness, providing a smooth yet crisply refreshing beer. I love the way they phrase some of these. The balance continues through the finish, and the hop bitterness lingers in the aftertaste. I'd agree with that. I don't feel like it's as bitter as something like a German Pils, but it has still got that higher bitterness than like a Helles or another more malty lager. Although some examples may finish slightly sweet. Clean, no fruity esters, no diacetyl. Some mineral character might be noted from the water, although it usually does not come across as an overt minerally flavour. Should have a medium body and medium carbonation. And overall, balance and smoothness are the hallmarks of this style. It has the malt profile of a Helles, the hop character of Pils, and is slightly stronger than both. So it should sit between 4.8 and 6%.
It's 5.2.
This one's 5.2. IBUs 23 to 30. SRM 4 to 6, which is that lovely pale colour. Commercial examples. DAB Export and Dortmunder Union Export. I'll talk about those in a minute. Eyinger Jahrhunter and Flesberger Gold are probably ones that you could potentially find.
I know 2 of those.
DAB Expert and Dortmunder Union Export I'll bring up in a minute because there's
those are the 2 that I haven't a clue.
Yeah, but they're important, so we'll get into those when we get into the history of it. But yeah, you might be able to get Flensburger Gold. You might be able to get the Eyinger one. I recently picked up a Flensburger Lenten at House of Trembling Madness. So nice. You get Flensburger over here, so you might be able to find it if you'd like to try this style. That is a good one to try.
I feel like that description really, like all the descriptions, it does genuinely match this really, really well. Yeah, it's really drinkable. It's really nice.
It's like it really cleans the palate at the end, making you want to drink more.
Yeah, and I think like when you were saying, I hadn't really taken in, I was more taking in like the aromas and the initial taste, and I wasn't really thinking too much about the body of it. Sometimes that's not my first thought. Is more like trying to process what the like, unless something's really, really thin or really, really thick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't. My brain just kind of puts that on the back burner while I'm working out what the flavors themselves are in it. And it was when I took a sip and you were saying, "Oh, it's medium bodied," and so like, actually, yeah, there's quite good body in it.
Yeah.
It's all very well balanced all the way around between the carbonation, the body, the flavors, like all of it's really, really nice. It's very drinkable. I feel like I do really want to have like a pretzel or something now.
That's interesting you should say that.
Oh, okay.
I'll get to that later.
You're teasing me.
It should. Do you want to know what glass it should be drunk from?
Yeah.
I found a blog article that said it should be drunk from a flute glass.
Oh, classy.
Although I feel like maybe it means like a Pils glass.
Yeah, like I was going to say one of the like really tall, like the taller ones, not like a champagne flute, but I'm going to still go with classy.
Fancy, right? And it should be served,
which actually would be pretty good for like Lost and Grounded with it being a birthday one. Like, let's celebrate.
That's very true. Temperature should be served 6.9 to 8.6 degrees Celsius, which is 44.5 to 47.5 degrees Fahrenheit.
Nice.
So, yeah. Not crazy cold, but cool.
Cool in multiple ways.
So that's what you should expect from a Dortmunder. I'm enjoying this one.
I am as well. I just really just Lost and Grounded in general. Like, I feel like there's no lager I won't have from them.
You know, you're going to get a good bit, like, not
even just lagers,
well.
like you're just going to get great beer from them in general. And it's a really good, overall, just a really cool place to visit. Like, you go in there and it's just like a sea of chrome. Like, you just go and you're like, oh my God, look at all that kit. The one thing is, though, it is like proper, like out of, comparatively in Bristol, it is proper out of the way. Yeah, but it is like, in my opinion, well, I walked.
Oh, did you walk? Did you have Phelan with you though?
No.
Oh,
we walked. We're walkers. Like, we are just Rick and I are just walkers. Like, if it's up to, because we were kind of going around a few places, and it was if it's within like 30 minutes ish or slightly more, we'll walk it. And I think where we happened to be, it was just a lot of walking, because the last place we were, it was about like 30 minutes from there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a walk. And especially where it is, it's just so, like, it's an awkward walks a little bit. It's definitely doable. It's just that, like, I definitely would recommend people just take an Uber. Or scoot. If you're in Bristol, I won't scoot because I'm terrified of scooting. But if you're not afraid of a scoot there, but don't scoot back if you've had a lot to drink. Just Uber back. So, but
scoot
responsibly, everybody. That's if I can give you one message. Definitely go to Bristol. Definitely go to the amazing breweries. If you fancy scooting, scoot about, but scoot responsibly.
Yes.
A women's brew does not promote irresponsible scoots.
Drink and driving.
Drinking scoots. It's no. A big no. But yeah, I think like the location's like really cool, and I watched like a pigeon fly in there, and you could tell they were trying to be like, just please go, but the pigeon just would not leave. It was really funny to watch. It shouldn't have been funny, but it was. Now that you say that, I'm like, I might have actually had Phelan with me, because I think that's why we noticed the pigeon a lot more, because we were like, oh, damn, she's really wanting that pigeon. Yeah, I think she was actually with me now that you say that. But the location is awesome, and I do think, like, if you can get to it, it is super worth going to, because it's just like a really good selection of beers, and the people are really awesome. Their merch is awesome. Looking at all the kit is just like, you just look at it and you just go, oh my God. Like, this is... And they
got one of those big kits where you push a button and it just does it.
Yeah. It's just impressive. Like, it is impressive. To look at, it is impressive. Especially, like, when you've gone in a whole bunch of other breweries and you kind of see... It is just... I think that if you've not gone into, like, a brewery of that size and scale and stuff, and you're going into, like, smaller breweries or whatever, like, you go in there and you just go, whoa. Because it is impressive.
See, like, a wide range of sizes of brewery quite easily in Bristol.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I definitely recommend doing like East Bristol Brewery tour during a weekend.
Yeah, if you're interested in having a nose at different brew kits, Bristol's an easy place to do it.
It's great for food and beer. Yeah. Like, I'm a big Bristol advocate, so I can't. My friend, like, I've got friends that live there. We've got an office that's there. There's so much variety there. And just really good people there. Yeah. So yeah, you've got a good range of good people making great beer and good food. So yeah, this is supposed to be a Dortmund episode. We're like, this is actually Bristol. We are shills for Bristol.
Just going to talk about Bristol.
We are Bristol shills.
Oh, brilliant. Shall we crack another one and talk about the history of Dortmunder?
Yeah, I'm taking one more sip there.
Didn't say you had to stop drinking it. I just said, shall we open another one?
Which one should we do next?
Should we do the Exhale one next?
Yeah, let's get that one.
All right, our next one, Exhale Golden Lager.
This is the one I've had before.
Zorc.
And I really like this because on the back of the label, so it says, store cold, drink fresh, goes nicely with goat's cheese, grilled sardines, salt, and Salt and shake crisp.
Oh,
what's a
do you not know what salt and shake crisps
No, that's what
are?
threw me off. I was like, I could physically read it, but I was like, what?
Oh, this is where you didn't have a childhood in the UK.
I thought you were going to be like, this is where you didn't have a childhood, full stop.
No,
and I was like,
no.
Rude.
These are a UK thing. Right, so I'm really excited to see your...
You're like so excited. I just want to know what it is, and you seem really excited.
I'm excited to see your your reaction to
me.
Right,
Pitch it to me.
Salt and shake crisps, right? Bag of crisps.
I'm guessing I already know what it is.
Completely plain, nothing on these crisps. But then there'd be a little blue paper packet inside with the salt in, and you'd put the salt on it, and you'd shake it up, and then you'd eat them. So then the idea was supposed to be you could control how much salt you put on it. You never did. Chucked the whole thing in, shook it around. Bottom ones had more salt on than the rest of them. You know, as a child, just eating all that sodium.
I feel like
salt and shake. Everyone loved a salt and shake because it was fun.
Yeah, so I assume that was what it was going to be, because you have those like like when you get chips that are French fries, whatever, that are like the shake your own. Well, I've done places where you shake your own bag, great. But like normally, because they've just been taken out of a fryer, and you're there shaking the oil's what keeps it on. And I'm just here saying to myself, okay, so it's just salt. We're not even mixing in lots of different flavors. It's just salt.
Just salt.
What? Sell me on this versus just ready salted.
Because you could do it yourself.
So I'm presumably pay more
I can't remember.
to do the work.
When I was a child and my parents bought the crisps.
So I'm effectively doing the work that I just want it done. I don't want to do the work.
I feel like they were the same price as other crisps.
I could just shake a bag of crisps and be like, oh, I did it. Like,
but you didn't have to open the bag, fish out the little blue packet, open it up.
How does it stick,
shake it. It doesn't. That's why all the salt's in the bottom. So then you lick it. You know, put your finger in and take it out afterwards.
Brother. You don't just lick the salt.
Yeah. Salty margarita fan right here. Where do you think that came from?
That is dire. The fact that you just like treat it like a fun dip.
I mean, obviously,
like a fun dip of salt. That is mental.
Some of the salt is on the crisps. Obviously.
Yeah, some of them where it happens to accidentally get stuck in a ridge, and you go, "Oh, great, that one's stuck," and all the rest is like, "There's nothing to stick to."
But this is back in the day before everything was baked. These were like. There was still oil on these crisps.
So you like fish out the packet and you're like, oh, my hand is translucent. Great.
Yeah. This is the 80s, mate, when nobody cared.
I mean, it's the shaking aspect. That's fun. I can get behind that gimmick. That's great. Do I want to treat it like a fun dip of salt? No, ma'am. I think I'm going to have to pass on that. Do these still exist?
Probably. I feel like whenever anybody sees them, we're like, oh my god!
I've never seen it. I've never seen this in my life.
I'm gonna Google it.
So I feel like if they still exist, I'll get a pack and I'll just have a go at them and just be like, how do these work out?
Shake crisps. You can get them. Apparently, you can get them in Poundland. You can get them on Ocado. Asda have them. Iceland.
I actually do order from Ocado sometimes, so maybe I'll try to find a bag of these shaken
Tesco's have got
salt.
Walker's salt and shake multi-pack crisps.
Okay, so Walker's, that's what I'm looking for. Okay.
Walker's. Yeah, right. So I'll show you a picture. Oh, where's it gone?
Show me what I'm looking for.
I'll show you a picture of it.
Gonna have to blur it out as product placement. We're not sponsored by Walker's. Right. We're not sponsored.
So it's white with
a white
blue
bag.
diamond.
Okay.
Right. Because it's a little blue packet that's inside.
Okay. All right, I'll give it a go. I won't knock it until I try it. But basically, this was all to say that just on the back, it's giving these suggestions, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's a better picture. Look on the.
Oh, okay. I know what I'm looking for. I think I actually have seen that on Tesco's. But this was all to basically say that on the back, there's also just a scan on Spotify.
That's cool.
So I'm
have
like,
you scanned it?
No.
Oh,
so let's give it a go. Let's scan it. Let's see what we come up with.
How do you do it?
I don't know, because I'm not convinced. Oh, you have to go in the Spotify app. Oh, God. Spotify. I've never felt older in my life.
There's a camera.
I've never felt so old. Like, what is this?
Okay. Dork.
Okay. Scan.
Amboss. Misfortune. Oh, some of these songs are no longer available.
Oh, all of them are available for me.
No, not for me.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know a single one of
recognise
them.
any of these.
Such bangers such as Faust's Misfortune, Gloria from Osmundi, A Question of Decision from Osmundi, The Story of Life, Garu Garu.
Yeah, I don't know any of these.
Wallenstein.
No. Anyway, you can go listen to that.
King Insano by Embryo. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of bangers on here. I'm just going to go listen and see what I think of it later because I haven't a clue. I don't know any of them, but I'm open to hearing what they are. But I thought that was cool. And I'm always down for any time somebody wants to give me like an accompaniment to my beer or my books. Like you want to give me a Spotify playlist, great. You want to give me like recommended food choices to have with it, awesome, equally awesome. So that was cool. I've had it before. When I had it before, I enjoyed it. So yeah.
I've not had it before. Can I just say that is exactly what I thought your reaction would be to Salt and Shake crisps, which is why I was giggling before I even told you.
It was just, you kind of just lost, like, you kind of, I think you got more enjoyment and I was here like, I don't even know what it is.
Well, yeah.
And then I kind of worked it out and I was like, oh, please don't tell me it's that. And then you were like, it's that. And I was like, oh. Ew, David.
It'll also make sense why Salt and Shake crisps slightly later when I talk about food.
Well, it's like the goat cheese, and then I was like, well, that's miles away from what I'm guessing.
Oh, this one's a bit darker.
Well, yeah, also, interestingly, so this one is listed obviously a golden lager, but on the back, it does say premium golden Dortmunder lager. So
yes, because I said to you, I was like, is that one a Dortmunder? And you were like, yeah, it definitely says it on the can.
Yeah, because that's why I bought them, because I went, oh,
yeah, this
one is as well. And I'd had it before, not realising that's what it was, and I went, oh yeah, that's, not knowing that was the style, just going, oh, look, I've bought some XLs, I wanted to try them, got them when I was in London, took them home, and I went, oh, that's really, really good. And then I remember when I was looking for Dortmunders, I was like, oh, I remember liking that before. And then you went, are you sure? And I was like, I mean, the back of the can says so. So who am I to argue at the back of the can? Brewers are going to, if that's what they're telling me they brewed it.
Well, listen to the brewers. It does say this is a premium golden Dortmunder lager made with Munich and aromatic malt, which is why it's slightly darker, to give a bold, rich malt bill, balanced with a herbal bitterness from Hallertau Blanc and SARS hops. I'm going to keep
Doom and Gloom.
I'm going to keep Dr. Doom and Gloom under wraps today. There's other hops Doom and Gloom now as well.
Oh no, I don't need that.
EU regulations are upsetting everything.
God, I can't handle this. It's too much.
It smells nice. It definitely smells richer than the other one.
I was going to say, yeah, it does. And there's less, I think, there's less depth in the aroma to me. But obviously, again, this passed the BBE, so I'm trying not to be too specific. But comparatively to the Lost and Grounded, yeah, it is.
It's more caramelly.
And I think there is more, for me, more of the herb, that the herbalness is coming through more in this than it was in the Lost and Grounded. Whereas I think the Lost and Grounded for me was more a little touch of sweetness, graininess, maltiness. This is coming across as more of like the herbals coming through way more in this.
All right, let's taste it. Prost.
It is still quite medium-bodied.
Yeah.
It tastes very different from the...
Yeah, it's different. It's not as... From the aroma, it's not as caramelly as I thought it would be. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I don't think this style should be caramelly as much as I might want it to be.
No. I'm just like... I need to go more sips, but I think...
It's not as...
I'm trying to think of the word I want to use to describe it because I can't think of the word that I want to describe it. But there is like still a medium body to it, which I've, again, sometimes with certain like logs and stuff, like you almost don't expect it to be as full as these two have been sometimes. So yeah, it's definitely smoother. There's not really a lot of like, there's almost like a dryness towards the end of it, but I wouldn't say that there's like, it's not carbonated dryness or anything like that. It is just like a dryness to the back end of it.
I think this is less bready and more bread crust.
I think that might be what I'm trying to convey in my brain. And there's almost, I think at the front end of it, there's almost a bit more like, almost like a burnt caramel at the front end. And then towards the back end of it. So the bitterness, I think, is almost, there is a slight bitterness, but I would say it's almost less noticeable than in the Newstalgic 7, because I think this bitterness lands slightly differently because of how the overall flavours that are around it. Like in both of them, the bitterness, I think, works with the flavours that are there, but they're very quite different flavours. This one is definitely more like burnt caramel at the front, and then that bitterness kind of transitions you to like a dry finish that is more, you're right, I would say, like a bread crust. Yeah. Crustiness.
Even maybe slightly toasty. Whereas the other one's more bready, and then there's like a hot bitterness.
But I feel like the bread crust works so good with that dry finish.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like when you have like a quite well done pizza crust.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's nice. It's very different to the Newstalgic 7, but equally I can see how that still fits in some of what you were explaining.
And that's why this beer will go really well with goat's cheese and grilled sardines, because it's like a bruschetta or, a bit of crusty bread that you're having to go with your goat's cheese or your grilled sardines.
I feel like this would go quite well with bruschetta.
Yeah.
Count me out for the goat's cheese and the grilled sardines. That's a big no. I'll give salt and shake crisps a go.
And I think the saltiness would, the saltiness go well with the slight sweetness in this.
But I think even then the saltiness goes, for me, it's not even like the sweet element of it, but like, because I wouldn't even describe that burnt caramel as like sweet. Like it just has, I don't know how to describe it, but like sweet just doesn't feel quite right. But I feel like that richness, I feel like the saltiness really would cut through it really well.
Yeah.
And add just a really nice depth of flavour to it. So yeah, it's definitely something that you could like have your ready salted crisps if you're not wanting to shake your own. Fun dip of salt on there.
I can't believe you're normally like the fun council. You're normally the ambassador of fun.
I am the minister of fun. I get that. I am the minister of fun. I am a fun person. I like fun stuff. If you were like this, in true American fashion, if you were like, there was, we can put some sugar on that, I might be like, okay, now we're talking. Like popcorn, like shake your own salted popcorn, maybe I'd be like, actually, great. Crisps, I just go, yeah, but I could just get a pack of ready salted crisps.
Oh dear.
This seems like extra work for me. I've had a long day.
But it's fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You lost me at the dip in the finger. I was like, no.
I mean, that's probably just me. But should we have a look at the history of Dortmunders?
Yeah, let's.
So this is one of those interesting ones. It's kind of like porter, kind of like grisette, where it came about because of the workers. So it's originally from the Dortmund region of Germany, hence the name. The city has a population of a little over 500,000, and it lies in the North Rhine-Westphalia region, which is in the northwestern part of Germany. The beer was probably first created in 1868, and it was favoured by coal miners.
Oh.
Now, before Dortmunder became a thing, they were actually brewing a dark wheat beer for the workers.
That sounds amazing, and I want that.
Right? I mean, I want to dark wheat beer.
I love wheat beer. We've already established in many episodes that wheat beers are some of my favourite beers.
Yeah.
And like historically, for me in my journey, wheat beers have always been like a constant. If it's a wheat beer, that's definitely what I'll probably go for. I'm into that, the idea of a dark wheat beer.
Same, right? So, but they were brewing this dark wheat beer. But then, just to spoil all the fun, just like it did everywhere else, these pale lagers were being brewed. Like that old Czech Pilsner, the German Pilsner, they were being brewed and people would get really enjoying them because they're really crisp and refreshing.
No.
For goodness sake. These crisp and refreshing beers.
Get them out.
Made out of
Disgusting.
But becoming really popular. So then the Dortmunder was the answer in that area to those beers. It's slightly higher in ABV than your Pilsner type beer. And as I said when we were talking about the style guidelines, it sometimes has a little bit of a sulfury note or flavour to it. And that is because there are high levels of sulfate in the region's water.
Oh.
So, with the ones we've got here, they weren't brewed in Dortmund. So you're not necessarily going to get that. But it was thought that distinct sulfur flavour balanced the bitterness of the hops, which again made it a very drinkable beer, which is why people really liked it, and it became really popular. The beer ended up being so popular that the DAB Brewery was set up in the city of Dortmund, and there was a union of breweries called the Dortmunder Union, where they all brewed their own. They all ended up doing their own.
I was waiting for you to be like, there's a union, and then it was going to be like a really complicated German name, and then you were like, the Dortmunder Union.
The Dortmunder Union.
I was like, that actually took me by surprise because it was so on the know.
But those two breweries are still brewing beer now. So that's why the DAB Export and the Dortmunder Union Export are on the list of commercial examples, because those two breweries are still brewing the style today. It became such a favourite with the locals that within a decade of it being created, DAB Brewery was exploring other regions to export to, and they sent it to lots of other countries, including Japan and India.
You know how to get me.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I knew you'd like that. By the late 19th century, the company was using refrigerators, which were revolutionary at the time. Now, we've talked about this before, about how, they didn't have refrigeration. They were storing it in caves and cold cellars and things like that. So this company started using refrigerators, which was properly revolutionary. That meant that they could expand even faster and produce more beer than any of their other competitors. And then that put them on the map and established their presence worldwide. By the early 20th century, before the First World War, they were producing 250,000 hectolitres of beer every year, which was an impressive quantity for the time. So DAB survived the First World War, but Dortmund was completely destroyed during the Second World War, and the brewery had to be rebuilt and resumed operations after the war was over. They did, however, do it successfully, which is why they are still around today. They've been able to modernise and stayed in business throughout all the changing environments. So
well done
they still operate in the local area. They still export beers to a number of countries. This is the DAB Brewery. They took over another large brewing company called Kronen in the 90s. And
is that like Kronenberg, or like is that completely different? It might be. Just like you say Kronen, like Kronenberg.
And they also merged with one of the biggest brewery groups in Germany, the Radeberger Group. And now they make a number of different beers and variations of the traditional Dortmunder style. But this article that I'm reading from Lowercase Brewing says that the original Dortmunder style is what's most popular in America for brewers to make.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that was really, really cool.
I kind of want to try one of the bits that like actually have that sulfuric taste to it, because I just want to know how, because I don't know if I've ever really had anything that's had sort of like that, like in terms of beer, if I've had anything that's had like that sulfuric edge to it, and I just kind of wonder, maybe I have had it and I just haven't realised, but it'd just be interesting, because I'm not sure if I've had something like that before. I feel like that sounds on paper like it wouldn't be enjoyable to me.
Well,
because I just, when I think of like sulfuric, I think of like fart smells.
Yeah.
And but that's what's in my brain. And I go, well, that doesn't feel like that. I mean,
it's well known that some German beers will open and there'll be a waft of sulphur, but then it blows off very quickly. So it's just kind of at the first go, but then because it's so volatile, it disappears very quickly. That's the thing.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I think it'd be cool to try like a proper. I never had heard of DAB, so.
And apparently, originally, there was a lager beer version and an export version, but the export became the most popular.
It'd be cool to try like a proper traditional.
Yeah.
Traditional
Normally we managed to get one, but like
this one feels like very niche. I think the thing is, this is really, really niche, and it might be like in the US, this is the most popular one that they would do over there. But like for us, I think this is definitely not the most popular style that we do over here in terms of even like just German lager specifically. So yeah, I don't know. It feels like quite a niche, not as well known variety of lager, style of lager. So it's got to be a lot, especially post-Brexit. Like, when you're talking about the more niche ones, like that is... Maybe it's obviously not niche over there, but for us, it's more niche.
Yeah,
post-Brexit, it's going to be difficult.
When I'm reading this, it was saying that at one point, Dortmunder Export was accounting for 10% of German beer sales.
That's crazy.
Which feels like a lot, because I feel like I hardly ever see it, and I've drunk a fair bit of German beer.
But do you feel like for them that's like like one of their supermarket offerings? Like you just go to the supermarket and you go, it's just in the like just down the line. Do you ever do this? Is a random tangent question, but I just like something came up on my Instagram reels the other day when I was in bed doing doom scrolling or whatever, and it was like, oh, Western people going into like supermarkets in other countries and as a cultural experience, and I was like, oh, you know what though? I actually genuinely enjoy going to supermarkets like in other countries just to go, what brands of chocolate, like not every single aisle, but like I'll be like the chocolate aisle, the beer aisle, the snack aisle, because I just like to go, is there any flavors that we don't really get that I think would be really cool to try, chocolate wise, snack wise, and then just beer wise, being like, oh, we've got, especially in like Belgium, like going through their beer aisle and what they just have casually in their beer aisle in a convenience store supermarket. You're like, what? Like, this is not this isn't fair. And then you'll just get it for like quite a decent price. And I'm like, in London, I paid nearly 20 quid for a 330ml bottle of this, and this is like literally €5. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Yes, I'll have that. But do you do that when you go places? When you go on to Germany on these trips, like, do you go to supermarkets? Because I would be 100%.
So I did pop into a supermarket the last time I was in the Hallertau, to do exactly that, to see if I could get us some interest in German beers, because we were talking about our lager styles episodes at the time, and I was like, oh, let me go see if there's anything interesting. I also went into this Lidl because... Was it Lidl or no?
I think you went into a Lidl and you were like, "There's this." I was like, "That's in." We get that in Lidl as well.
It was rubbish. So I'd actually gone in as well because I went in with a couple of brewers who are from an Irish brewery, and they had just had a distribution deal with a brewery in Germany. So they were like, and it was supposed to be in Lidl. So they were like, let's go in and see if our beer's in there. So we went in. Their beer was not in there, and the selection wasn't any better than anything we could get at home. So I didn't pick anything up because
I remember getting the photos, and you were like, "I'm at Lidl, and this is what the offerings are." And I was like, "Yeah, same though, isn't it? Like it's so nothing different between them."
And then we had to go out the indoor because you.
Oh, that's awkward. That's awkward.
Yeah,
That's always awkward in those type of shops where you're forced to go out. I find that, like, compared to the US, in the US it's like free in, free out.
Yeah.
In UK and European supermarkets, this is something that people don't tell you about when you move from the US to somewhere else. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, you kind of have to go through the till area, but at least over here in the bigger supermarkets, you can be like, I'm just going to cut through the basket shopping where I don't. There's like a walk, like almost a path you can walk through.
And sometimes you can't.
Not everyone, yeah.
And then you've got a kind of scoot part, like, and if there isn't an open aisleway that isn't in use, you've got to scoot past people because you're like, I don't want to buy anything, just let me out.
Yeah, and then you're like, excuse me, and it's awkward. You're waiting for the right moment to be like, excuse me, I just need to go that way. And the aisles, like the actual lanes for the checkouts, are never massively big. No. So you're kind of like, I'm sorry, just excuse me, pardon me. That's not. I didn't mean to touch you.
It's kind of a little bit of a deterrent to shoplifters.
Yeah, but it's also a deterrent to be like, I changed my mind and I actually don't want anything.
I don't want to buy anything.
And now you're like, oh no, I've got to wait in this massive queue to buy something I don't want because it's too awkward for me to just. The British thing is like, it's too awkward for me to just say excuse me and walk past you. So, or I can never go in that shop again because I've done like an awkward thing. I don't know.
No.
But like M&S, you don't have that because I think that's because it's a food market within a bigger shop. Whereas like when you go into Tesco's and Lidl and like Aldi and like those shops,
Tesco's okay, but places like
because Tesco has the only in, only out. I think it depends on the Tesco because smaller Tesco's where it's like a like a small shop one is fine. When you have like a small local one, like the Co-op on my high street, that's fine because that's like pretty open. Anything else, like when I go into the big Tesco's, there's a specific lane in, a specific lane out, and to get to the out, you have to go through some form of checkout. So I just have to cut through a basket if I've changed my mind, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, everyone.
I went through a Sainsbury's.
Don't make eye contact. I've not stolen anything.
Where to get out of the basket and self-service,
you have to scan the thing, don't you?
You have to scan your thing. And at first I was like, why is it not letting me out? Oh wait, where's my receipt? And I was like, what why are you trapping me in here?
And you're like, I've paid. Because like, what if you're like, I actually didn't want anything? You have literally no way out.
You have to buy something.
Or if there's an Argos, like the Sainsbury's often have Argoses. What if you're like, I went to the Argos and then they're like, scan your receipt. And you're like, I don't have a receipt. I have an Argos bag.
Just let me out. Please. Hate it.
Yeah. Anyways, I know that was a tangent, but I just, like, for me, when I talk about going in some of these supermarkets, like I would go in, I intended to do like blog posts, but as you know, the theme with me is I will like do all the prep work. I will lay all the groundwork. I'll do all the research and then I will not deliver because I'm like, oh, but that extra, however long it takes me to type something up. But I went in like when I was in Japan and I was going in all these like, Family Mart and 7-Eleven. I was taking photos. This is what I do when I go to other countries. Like I'll go into a convenience store or a supermarket and I'll take a photo of the beer aisle to be like, what actually, I did it in Greece. I actually did do a blog post on the Greece one, to be fair. I did do that. And I did say actually what you can get in convenience stores are. And I think I may have done one for like, I started to do one for Japan and never published it. But I like to go in and be like, what can you get in some of these convenience stores or supermarkets? Just to be like, is there anything that's interesting that's worth checking out or has an interesting flavour?
The last time my last ship contract, we were in Germany when we started. And then I went to a supermarket and found really interesting beers in the supermarket. We went there. So I have done it, just where Meinberg, where we go in the Hallertau, is quite a small town. So they've got the one supermarket and it didn't have a lot in it. I probably would be able to find stuff in Nuremberg.
I think if you went to like, a proper like bigger city, you'd probably be like, okay.
I'd find, and I have done that before, yes. It is a good idea.
It's just something that I think is just fun and interesting to do when you go someplace else. Not because you're like, oh, this is so exotic and weird. Like, it's not like like the Instagram post made out like, this is exotic and weird. It's like, no, it's just these are flavours that I like this flavour combination in these crisps. And I can't get that back in the UK. I'm sure there's probably things that are like cinnamon everywhere. And I'm like, can't get this there. So, and I just find it interesting to be like, there's beers that when you get to places like Germany and Belgium and like those type of places that you go, oh wow, like to us to import that's so expensive. But to you, this is just a commonplace beer. Yeah. And you can just go into a supermarket and be like, yoink, that is mine now for a $5. This last one you picked up, didn't you?
I did. I picked it up while I was on my way to Yakima. I was in Portland. I was at Culmination Brewing, and we did a little brewery tour. And we had a couple of beers in their tap room, and then I was looking at what was in their fridge, and we were having a chat with their brewer, and I was like, oh, a Dortmunder lager, like you never see those. That's so cool. And he was like, have some, and I said, thank you very much. So I bought one back for me and Tori, and here we are.
It's called Dork. I like it. I relate.
It's called Dork.
Hard relate.
They also, so this brewery, Culmination Brewery, when we went there, they had a German lager, fresh hopped on cask. It's great.
That's an interesting blend of things.
Right? I was just like, I'm sat in the US drinking a German lager that's fresh hopped on cask, like all the things.
It's definitely...
I had to have some of that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
And they had a sparkler on.
It'd be rude not to. When I've gone to the US, so like... So this is a top tip for anyone that's going to the US, because there's actually quite interestingly on some of the forums I've seen, there's quite a lot of people that are going to the US, to New England in general, because there was quite a few people being like, oh, I'm going to Boston and that area, and I want to go to Treehouse, and I want to go here, and I want to go there. Like, what's the best way to do it or see it? And if you are in Massachusetts and you're able to get around relatively freely, or you have the budget to be able to, you know, if you're staying in Boston proper, and you don't mind paying a little bit for a cab, or trying to work out public transport, because it's not the normal subway transport, it's more the commuter rail is what it's called. You can go to Beverly, I think it's Beverly, and let me just double check before I say definitively. I'm fact checking myself. Yes, Beverly. I knew for a fact, but I also, you know, when you second guess yourself and you're like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Yes, so a fact check, it's definitely Beverly. There's like a whole bunch of, when I growing up, like that was definitely not like a lot of breweries around there when I was younger. Like I didn't live there, but it's a drivable distance for me. I've been there many times. But the last few years, I think, I'd say maybe since I've moved, the last 5 to 10 years maybe, it's like sprung up with lots and lots of different breweries within like a walkable, easily like commutable distance from each other. And like that's a place that if you weren't local to there, like that's not on a map. These breweries aren't just like breweries that people know about. So an episode that we recorded the other night, I had our book club episode I had from a brewery called Untitled Brewing Company in there in Beverly, and there was a whole bunch of them. And one of the places that we went to, I think we talked about this before on the episode when I came back from the US, is one of them like had that they did lots of like traditional British style. They had like a British shop or like a UK shop that was in the back. There was like a cardboard cutout of the Queen, and they had a few beers that were cask. And I remember reading, even before going back to the US, that like cask was making like a huge splash in the US. And I was like, I'd never seen cask over in the US before. Like just growing up, that was definitely not a thing. And even on my numerous visits, like I would never see things on cask. And it's only in the last, I would say like 2 to 3 post-COVID, let's call it, you know, the PC years, the post-COVID years, that I've seen cask being served in places around New England. Yes. And it was just really interesting because like I was like, well, obviously I have to have that because I need to know what that's going to be like compared to what I know. And it was just really funny because the guy, obviously assuming that I am full British and not just naturalized, he was like, like, what do you think of it? And he was like making conversation, and I was like, it's really good. It tastes like, I had a mild, and I was like, this is really lovely. I really enjoy this. And he's like, oh yeah. And then he was talking to me like, oh yeah, this like British thing, and I was like, yeah. And I didn't want to be like, I grew up a 10-minute drive away.
Amazing.
I've grown up a 10-minute drive away, sir. I've literally only known about cask beers for the last decade of my life.
I wish I'd have been there. I would have been wetting
You would have been
myself.
crying. There's quite a few people that would have been crying laughing.
My favourite thing.
It's so many people. That is when people know me and I meet someone new in the same environment. Like it happens with like my friends at work, like with people outside of work. When somebody new is introduced into a group, there's normally a game of playing like, where is she from?
Yeah.
And it's normally
the best game.
So I would say 8 out of 10 times, let's call it 8 out of 10 times, people will say Bristol West Country. Bristol/West Country. People in Bristol will say Bristol/West Country. I literally ordered a beer in Wales, and the thing the bartender said was beer for the girl from the West Country. And my sister-in-law pissed herself laughing, thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Oh, it is funny.
And I would say 1 out of those 10 times, somebody will say, I can't really work it out, not really sure, and they'll like guess a few things. And then maybe one time, less than one out of the 10 times, somebody might go Canadian.
Yeah,
I will get like maybe Canadian, maybe I've got it's the outlier. It's the Canadian, the Irish, Australian. US is usually last because they're like there's a twang, but I can't work it out. I've only ever had one person straight up go, where are you from? And I went, where do you think? He's like, America. Bang on. Like he was like, no, I knew it. That's the only one time since I've moved here.
Accent savant.
I was like, how did you know?
I said the other day at work that we needed to get some recordings done because you were going home. And Tom said,
was he like, what, to the West Country?
Tom was like, she's going back to the West Country. I was like, yeah.
Going back.
The West Country of Boston.
The very West Country.
The very West Country.
The most West Country of the East Country.
Yeah.
Boston. I love that because actually when you think about it, it does really work. I am actually from the West Country, the east side of the West Country. Oh, I love that. But yeah, that was massive tangent. But yeah, that was like, that was when I saw the cask and people were like, he was like having quite a cheerful chat and he's like, oh yeah. And it was, we were there with my, one of my best friends in the US that like I grew up with him, and it's him and his wife and his son just kept wanting like the chocolate, and I was like, I'm gonna buy him some proper chocolate, let me get him some Cadbury's. So I got him like a Cadbury's twirl. He's like proper little, and I was like, I'm gonna get him a twirl, here you go. And then like from that point the guy was like, oh yeah, talking to me about the chocolates, and I was like, literally 10-minute drive away. I've been
I would have been on the floor. I would have loved it.
I just go along with it. It's the same thing when I go into like a Starbucks or something and people are like, oh, you're from England. The amount of people that will go, oh, you're from, are you guys from England? Are you English? And we'll just go, yeah. And Rick's just there going, yeah. And I'm like, I mean like, technically.
Tell him about your experience of cask throughout your life, Tori.
Throughout my life. The first time I experienced cask at the age of probably 22 years old. Because I would say, okay, let's say it's more than a decade, because when I visited Rick, I had something on cask. So okay, it's 11 years, maybe 12 at a push. So yeah, my vast, just about a decade, slightly more experience of cask is like, you know, the ripe young age of 22.
So good. Right, should we crack over this?
Yeah, okay, I need to drink this, but I thought you'd appreciate that.
I did. Oh, I'm really sad I wasn't there.
Honestly, I'm not even joking when I say the amount of times that people over there, we go to a restaurant and they'll go, oh, are you you're from England? And we just go, yeah, I mean, technically, sure, that's where my house is, that's where my dog is, I guess that's where I'm from. That's where I came from.
Castles where you came from, because I often get asked that. Are there castles where you come from? And I want to
every and then I'm 5 feet.
Yeah. Well, no. So have I not told you the story? The first time I was in the US, I went to Vegas for a university trip.
As you do.
And then I went and did a semester at the University of Florida. We were going to a house party, so I went and bought some Mike's Hard Lemonade in the supermarket.
As you do. Are you even going to a house party if you're not Mike's Hard Lemonade-ing?
Well, I didn't drink beer at the time, so I got some Mike's Hard Lemonade, had to show my passport to prove I was over 21, and the lady on the checkout, she wasn't very old, and she was like, oh, you're from England? Are there castles where you're from? And I wanted to be like, no, don't be so bloody stupid. And then I was like, yeah, there is one like 10 minutes down the road.
Well, I was going to say, you're like, oh, don't just make assumptions, right, don't stereotype, but then you're like, but also,
I was literally like, yeah, there is one. Yeah, there's one about 10 minutes from my house. And she was like, and I was like, yeah, this woman now thinks that there's castles on every corner in the UK.
I would actually argue, though, I think she has a point. Name one place that you've gone to that there's not been a castle within a drivable distance. No, but I'm not saying it is your fault. I'm just saying it is accurate. It's not my fault
that your country knocks down old things.
We just don't have castles. No, it's not that we knock down old things. We're not old enough to have castles. We're not old enough to have castles. That's just the fact that it is. It's not our fault that you have castles, that everyone had a castle. Everything's called a castle.
Yeah.
Because
we're really, really, really old.
Some of us are just eternally young. Honestly, it's when people go, where, like, oh, you're from, do you get the, like, oh, you're near London, yeah? And you're just like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I'm not far from London, so it just becomes easier when people go, where are you from? And then you just go, London.
I just say I'm right on the East Coast. I'm like right next door France.
I go London, or people will go like, but where? And I'm like, I'm going to say places. You're not going to know. And so the best that I can do, and this does not help the castles argument, is I go, Windsor.
yeah, then you are properly.
And then they're like,
probably got a castle there.
And they're like, I do know that one because I watch The Crown. And then you go,
yeah, good.
You do, yeah,
great,
yep. There's Ascot as well.
I did when I was doing my international exchange. We did convince several first and second years that I was related to Prince William, and they believed us. And I was like,
"That's me.
It's an achievement of my life." They also got really uppity because I was there over St. Patrick's Day, and I didn't wear green, and they were like, why aren't you wearing green? It's St. Patrick's Day. And I was like, what are you talking about?
I could go on we could have a whole separate conversation about that situation. Honestly, but everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's Day.
And they were like, why aren't you wearing green? I was like, why would I wear green? Because it's St. Patrick's Day.
Were you genuinely like, I'm confused?
Yeah, I was like, why would I wear green? And they're like, because it's St. Patrick's Day. And I was like, so? And they were like, but it's St. Patrick's Day. You have to wear green on St. Patrick's Day. And I was like, mate, I don't celebrate St. George's Day. Why would I wear green for St. Patrick's Day? And they were like...
They probably were like, who's St. George? I don't celebrate St. David. I don't celebrate St. George.
I was like, the patron saint of England. And they were like...
What?
I was like, because St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland. And so St. George is the patron saint of England. And like, we don't really celebrate that day. And they were just like...
That is really funny. Like, you don't have parades?
I'm like, listen. I was like, listen. Out of everybody in this room, I'm the closest person that lives to Ireland, right? You don't need to wear green on St. Patrick's Day. And it was like,
look, I'm saying, as a person that comes from an area of the US that is very highly populated with immigrants from... You're like literally you're either Italian or Irish, pretty much. Like not that there's no in between, but like the majority of the population's like you're Italian or you're Irish. Like that is heritage wise what you are. So you don't need to say any more about the differences of St. Patrick's Day because it was I come from the land of the Dropkick Murphys. Like St. Patrick's Day every year, Dropkick Murphy show. You come to expect it. It is what it is. Yeah, it was I mean, I do as well. Don't get me wrong, but it was a culture shock coming over here and being like, "Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day. Oh,
where's the green beer?
It's just a day.
Where's the corned beef and cabbage?"
Yeah, that was the worst thing when I discovered what corned beef was.
And I was like, "The what?"
When I discovered what corned beef was over here, I was like, "This. I understand. This is a food that you ration during the wars. This is a war crime." This is not corned beef. This is not a thing that we eat. This is not a thing that we eat. This should be a prepper's meal. This is not something that we just have on a day. I couldn't.
Well, this is the thing. When they were like,
I couldn't.
"Oh, you got to eat corned beef and cabbage," and I was like,
I got that
Why?
same reaction of like,
that sounds
I was like, "Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day. Let's make corned beef and cabbage." And Rick was like, "What are you? Absolutely not." He's like, "That's disgusting." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We are not having that." And I went, "What do you think we're having?" And he was like, "It's in a tin. Absolutely not." And I went, No, what are you talking about? Yeah, that was. I didn't make friends by being like, let's have corned beef and cabbage. People were like, no, it's way too late.
Yeah,
a decade for that.
Not wearing green, being told I've got to eat corned beef and cabbage and drink green beer, and I was like, absolutely not.
It is fun. What I would say is, we're taking the piss in fun.
Yes.
If you're actually there celebrating doing that stuff, if you actually get into it, it's
enjoy
fun.
yourself.
It is fun.
Do what you want.
Just what I will suggest is maybe just don't go to Ireland and
expect that, because it's not.
And tell Irish people you're Irish. Don't do that.
Just go drink Guinness instead. It'll be
go drink a Guinness, yeah. And it is. I would argue. I agree with the statement. The Guinness tastes better in Ireland.
Yeah, it's better in Ireland.
Even in the airports, it's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's Dortmund.
Dortmunder.
I've got it in my hoppy place dimple glass, my tiny jug, as Charlotte will call it. Tiny jug.
It is. Is it the same colour as the first one? That lovely golden colour. It's got a nice white foamy head on it.
I just started drinking it.
This one's a bit lemony.
This one, I think, had a bit more of a sulfuric type of aroma to it initially. I don't know why, because maybe that's just what's in my head and how I'm translating, because I almost wanted to say there was like a bit of white grape element to it, which I think is coming across. It's a white grape skin type thing that could be misconstrued as sulfuric. I don't know. One or the other.
I was getting it as kind of a slaty white wine.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting that you've described it that way, and I've just kind of gone in and like, oh, it's grape skin.
Yeah. It smells nice though.
It does. It smells a bit. I wouldn't say vinous, because it's not that.
No.
I think what you said was pretty spot on.
Yeah. That kind of minerality you get in a really good white wine.
Yeah, it is definitely more minerally than either of the other two.
Yeah. Stony, flinty, slaty. All those like weird words that wine people use.
Interestingly, though, I mean, I've got whole I've got tea towels with tasting notes and stuff for wine, so it would be really interesting one day to whip that out and be like, can we use these words to describe? Like,
that's episode. Wait,
we could take that out and we could go, how would we use like wine tasting notes to do like wild mixed firm, interesting stuff like that? I feel like that would be pretty cool. But that aside, I think it's really interesting that the aroma, for me, doesn't marry up with the taste. I feel like not in a bad way, just it definitely, for me, this tastes closer to the Lost and Grounded.
I agree with that. I still get a little bit of that kind of slatiness in the flavour. It is more grainy than bready, I would say. I think it's more carbonated than the other two.
I would argue that it's almost, it's definitely more carbonated. The bitterness is a little bit more pronounced as bitterness, but I still wouldn't say it's still quite well balanced. It's not overpowering in any way. Very well balanced. Really, really tasty. I think it leans towards tasting more like the Lost and Grounded, but I would argue has some really good elements. Actually, it's kind of interesting we saved this one to last, because I think that I can see elements from both the other two that are in this, because there is sort of like
the two, doesn't it?
That richness and that almost burnt caramel sort of comes through in this. That was in the Exhale.
Oh, I don't get that.
See, I got some of that towards the back end of it, but maybe that could be what you're getting. Like when you're saying minerally, some of that could be kind of some of those flavors.
Yeah, I think that's It's nice though.
Yeah, I really quite enjoy it, but I feel really bad because we've done a lot of tangents and not actually talking about. We told people, I know you can't get these beers. I know they're past the best before date. We've actually said that all of them really taste quite good.
Yeah.
We've done a little bit of teaching people before we tangented. Do we have any other fun elements? You promised me snacks.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about snacks. So I found a couple of different food pairings. So Hop Culture magazine suggested that it could be paired well with grilled steak. I guess so.
I'm trying to picture it, but I almost don't know. I think if I was going to pair one with a steak, it might be the Exhale, because I think the richness from that would actually go better with the steak.
So I
maybe the Culmination, because I think there's a slight bit of, the more I'm drinking it, the more I'm getting definitely more of the white wine element in the taste.
If you're having steak, you should have red wine, though.
Yeah, I know, which is why I think the Exhale would actually go better. But I think the wine element makes me feel like, oh.
I get what you mean. If I was going for red meat or steak, particularly grilled, you've got those, like, you want those lovely grilled marks, you've got that lovely Maillard reaction. So the slightly richness, the darker malt that's in the Exhale is going to kind of go with that, pair with that, and complement that better, I think. But quite traditionally, you might want to match some complimentary salty popcorn that you get at the tap room with it. Or, where was I? The Lowercase Brewing blog suggested that you might want to have a pretzel board that they have on at their
pretzel board.
So it's got 2 soft pretzels, homemade beer cheese, and some optional mustard.
Honestly, what I will say, when I go to the US in a few weeks' time, I've written up my guide for myself of all the places I want to go. And I've kind of done, here's a place I want to try to go to, as many of them as I can. And I've written up criteria for myself about, like, write about, when I go to these places, look at X, Y, Z things at all these places. And one thing I was like, if we're going to talk about food, it's like, do they have food on? Yes or no? Okay, yes. If they've got food on, the one thing that I could find that was like a consistent between all the places was pretzels. And beer cheese. So I feel like last time my sodium levels when I went to the US at Christmas were through the effing roof, because
that's me in Germany.
We went to multiple places in a row, and every time I was like, should we do another pretzel and beer cheese? Because my family was like, stop making us have salty pretzels. It's too much. My mum's like, it's too much. I can't have this much sodium. It's too much. Yeah. And I was like, I guess it's all for me then. And so I think when we go in, like, this next time, the one thing I put on the list was like, if they have pretzel and beer cheese, which they probably will, you have to get it, because you have to compare all the pretzels and beer cheese. Like, who's got the best one? Is it thumbs up, thumbs down? I don't know. So it's interesting you said that. Pretzels and beer cheese for the win.
Definitely my first Hallertau tour. Everywhere we went, we had pretzels with the big chunks of, like, rock salt on them. And at first I was like, yeah, fresh pretzels, yeah. By the end of the week, I was like, oh god.
that was like by the end of like one day of going from brewery to brewery, my family was like, please. My mum was like, you've made me eat too much.
I was like, no more sodium. Where is the water, please?
It was a bit like that with my family. Like, by the time we got to at the end of the day, when we hit up Sacred and Profane before we went home, my mum was like, I can't handle any more saltiness, it's too much. We had like that, and like the spinach dip there was awesome, and the pretzels, the beer cheese, so good. And it's like, no matter how I try to make it at home, it feels like it never comes out as good as some of the other places with the professional.
Although I do make a good,
I think it's because so it's not the soft pretzels, it's the cheese dip.
The beer cheese.
It doesn't feel like it's ever the right consistency when I make it, and I'm like, But then I think it's because the size that I'm making it and the cheese I'm working with sometimes is just not complimentary.
Controversial. I just give up and get the Sauvignon Blanc cheese dip from Tesco's.
What?
You're looking at me blankly. The Sauvignon Blanc cheese.
Oh, is it like Tesco's, the one that goes into
the little ramekin? Yeah, and you put it
I was like,
in the oven.
I was like, wait, hang on a second, I can buy a tub of this. Thinking it was like
it's the little ramekin.
I got those. So I've had those. I get them from Lidl usually.
Normally they just come out at Christmas, but Tesco's are now doing them year round, which I'm very excited about.
Can I give you a top tip?
Yes.
Yeah, they come out at Christmas, and you know what you do? You buy them and you put them in the freezer. Because guess who's got like three things in the freezer? Me. I've got this. Lidl does them. I've got a cider one, cider and cheese mix, and like that's great. And I have the exact one that you're talking about, I think. And that's why I thought, I was like,
So
are you
good.
telling me there's a huge vat of cheese that I could just buy?
No,
And
just a regular size one. But it's still
when you
good.
said in the ramekin, I was like, I got you. Okay, crisis averted. Phew, I get it.
I
got them in the freezer.
Yeah. You got a bigger freezer than me though.
We technically have 2 freezers.
My other freezer's got hops in it.
Yeah, mine doesn't. I've got the beer fridge with solely frozen things, and then I've got my normal freezer, and that also has frozen things. We have lots of puddings in there. Because that's the thing, is like, can I also say top tip to everybody with the freezer? You go to Costco. If you're in the US, you go Costco, you go BJ's, you go wherever you want to go, to your wholesale store, wherever you can get a card to, job lots, I don't know. I go to Costco over here. I love a chocolate cake, a rich, indulgent chocolate cake. But I don't want to make it. I can make it. I don't want to, because I go, the effort that I've got to put in and the ingredients I have to buy and the time and effort, and it's just like, for what?
Do you not always just have baking ingredients on hand?
I do, because we make pizza, so we always have the baking ingredient. Like, that's fine. And Rick makes baked goods all the time. He makes cookies all the time. He's actually really good. Like,
he is.
He's a really good cook and a really good baker, and he loves chocolate.
I've been there when Tori's off doing something else, and I just live at their house now. I'll just be there. I'm sitting in the kitchen, like having a bit of lunch. Rick's making
cookies,
lower fat cookies, like low sugar cookies. He was trying out his new recipe.
Yeah. So he tries it out, but then usually it's just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna make stuffed big cookies, like chonky boys. So, and we freeze those. But sometimes I'm like, I just want a really rich, indulgent, like Matilda chocolate cake. That's all I want. I try to get it on Get Baked. I can't do that because you've got to order it first thing on 2 days a week.
What's Get Baked?
Oh, I will tell you about that when we're done recording. Okay. If you know, you know, and I will tell you about it. I want to get the cookbook because it's awesome. But basically, you can go to Costco and you can get their like rich, indulgent chocolate cake, slice it up, wrap it, put it in a bag, put it in the freezer. And then when you want it, you take it out in the morning/afternoon, like before lunch, pre-lunch. You can do it post-lunch. Put it in a bowl, put it in the fridge, let it defrost. By pudding time, it's done. And it is perfect. I've been doing this. I found this hack and I've been doing this 4 months. Because sometimes you just go, I just really want a piece of rich, indulgent chocolate cake. Yeah. So the next time you're here with me, I'll take you to Costco. We'll get you peanut butter pretzels. We'll get you a rich, indulgent chocolate cake. You can take that home, slice it up, put it in your freezer. You need to clear some space for it.
Oh, I can make that fit.
You slice it though, because that's the thing, is you slice it and you can Tetris it in.
So because I was going to say, like, I don't want to get a whole cake out sometimes.
No, you just want slices. You just want individual slices. That's what I'm saying.
That is genius.
Big brain. Playing 5D chess.
Yeah. I love it. This is why we're friends. If you would like to do your own pairings, then the Lowercase Brewing blog suggests that you try going for salty and tangy tastes that will complement the malty sweetness of the beverage. I think that's a good tip.
I think especially with this one.
Yeah. There you go. That's my snack tips.
I love that. I was like, oh, I feel like this would go good with the pretzel. And you were like, oh, would it? You'll just need to wait.
Yes, it would.
Oh, now I'm hungry. I mean, I'm not, but like, I'm not actually hungry. But you know when you want a pretzel. Like, I could use a really good snack. Just when you say that, I'm like, yes, I'm here for the good snacks. This is the problem with when I watch like food things at night. And Rick's like, how do you do it? And I'm like,
yeah, no, I can do it. You watch it like right up to bedtime.
Because to me, I go, I just put that in the bank for all the things that I want to eat later.
No, I'm very influenced. I've always been very influenced by
Rick's like, how are you not hungry? And I'm like,
things. Yeah.
It's for later.
Discipline.
Oh, these have been lovely. Which ones do you have, like a favourite, a standout favourite of all the three?
I feel like it would be I think they're all great. I think it would be for me between the Culmination and the Lost and Grounded.
Same, and I think I'd go one step. So they are all really good, and I will say that again transparently. We said at the start they're all past their best before date. They all are very good, which says, they don't. No, there's nothing. There's nothing that tastes off about any of them. They all taste very, very good, very tasty. Would have again. I would agree that I think for me, because I personally like the more bready tastes of lager, and I think the Exhale Zorc is more, there has a heavier richness, and it is definitely like a different taste, whereas I think the Culmination and the Newstalgic 7, they are closer with more bready notes. Those two are the top ones for me because it's my taste in lager, but I actually would edge more towards Lost and Grounded. I think I would probably go Lost and Grounded with Culmination Brewing being very, very close, and then Exhale not far behind.
I'm torn between the two because I like each of them for different things.
I like all three of them for different things. I think the Culmination is slightly, body-wise, slightly thinner in body comparatively, and I think that's maybe what's edging it for me. And I think there's a slight wider range, wider depth of flavours in the Lost and Grounded, and I like that. So,
okay, I like the interesting complexity of that slatiness in the Culmination, but that's why we've all got different taste buds.
I'm going to take it back. Actually, that is quite smooth, full body. I just took a sip and I was like, no, that is actually definitely medium bodied there. Yeah, I think that's an interesting, that white wine element is very, very interesting to me. But I think for me, the Lost and Grounded, traditional, like bready, toasty, grainy, malty loveliness is my favourite. So
fair.
Congratulations to all of them. They're all great.
Yeah, they're all really good. If you
I'd have them again.
If you find Dortmunders that you want to recommend to us, listeners, or if you can tell us where we can get those traditional ones from DAB or from Dortmunder Union, Tori, where can they tell you their recs?
Yeah, you can give me your recs because I want to try more. These are all very, very tasty. Or if you want to ask me about Bristol, because obviously we're shills for Bristol, my hometown of Bristol, you can message me on Instagram at adventures_in_optimism. You can email me at adventuresinoptimism@gmail.com. That's kind of where I'm the most active, and even then I'm very communicative. I'm not great at, so don't be fooled, I'm not great at posting on Instagram, but I'm good at stories, and I'm actually very communicative in my DMs.
The stories are lit though.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see me in my awesome sunnies. I'm going to close this out in my sunnies. Hang on.
Okay.
Putting my sunnies back on.
Just putting them back on.
Putting them back on. The library is open. We're good.
You're going to take the tag off?
Yeah, I will do. I literally just got these before we started. I put them on to try them on before we started recording. I was like, oh, I like these.
The library is
open. No, the library's closed. I'm not being shady today. This is great. But yeah, if you want to talk to both Joe and I, I'm printing out stickers. I've been actively working on stickers. So we're printing out stickers. If you want to know about it, you want to talk to us about it, you want to recommend us both some great ones, you've got some breweries that are brewing them that you want us to talk to, you can find us on Instagram at A Woman's Brew. You can email us at awomansbrewpodcast@gmail.com. We are also on Facebook. Joe will probably answer you on Facebook.
Yeah.
I might be the one that answers your emails and Instagrams, depending. More so potentially, I don't know, we'll see. And Twitter, no one's going to answer you on that, so don't worry.
No, we're not going to go there. Elon broke it. We're not going back.
We're not going back. It just is what it is. We're there, but we're not really there. It's just a situation. Joe, if people want to find you and talk to you about Culmination Brewing, where can they find you?
Oh, you can talk to me. We're getting edging towards it being a year since I was there, but I can tell you about my
Shh, don't say that. You're giving away things. Oh. I mean, edging towards a year, but it's not Ben. Very relevant and recent.
So recent. You can find me on Instagram. I am Love Beer Learning. I'm also on Facebook. I will definitely answer you there. I'm on X, I'm on TikTok, but I probably won't answer you there. I'm also on Pinterest if you're interested.
I was waiting for you to be like, also won't answer you there. I probably won't answer you anyway, it's fine.
It's not really, but in Pinterest, it's not really a message me type situation. It's a click on it and it'll probably take you to my website, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk. There's lots of interesting stuff there. Or you can email me, lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Right, let's go finish these lovely beers. Cheers.
Cheers.